Let's see, did it work? It's preparing, so just give it a minute.
Well, this we're live streaming on YouTube.
What about live streaming on YouTube?
Yeah.
It says we're streaming? Did we?
Yeah.
It says it's preparing it. Okay.
No, it says we're live on YouTube right now.
Okay. Oh,
Hi,
we are live. Look at that. Hello, everyone, and welcome to. For some reason, I'm saying it's preparing, but we're doing this. So hello, everyone, and welcome to the recap for episode 1 of Survivor Yagong Island. I'm here today, your host, Jay Milligan. We got the co-host, Marvin Burgos, and production member, Ashley King. How are you guys doing today? How's everyone's day? All right.
It's been good. It's been busy. Yeah.
Tired.
Me and Marvin just got done with Zach's exit, which is the first boot, obviously, just a few hours ago, and that is up on the page right below this video. With that being said, it's time to roll into our first episode. So we start out, everyone's in, we're doing introduction. We got a brief introduction, while production members kind of introduce themselves. You know, Marvin wanted to be first, but he ended up being last and had to cut me off a little bit. No, I'm just messing with Marvin, but yeah, Marvin got a little sassy there.
No. What you were about to do was gonna start explaining the game, and I'm like, hello, I'm here.
I was getting to you, but anyway. You know, we go around and introduce ourselves. So that way everyone knew like who was playing and who wasn't. And then we figured out, right? From there, we split them up into 3 tribes. We had Fishu, Shayu, and Banma. On the Shayu tribe, it was Ian, Victoria, Zach, Kyle, and Andrew. On Fishu, we had Matt, John, Gabby, McKenna, and Alex. Yeah. And then Banma, we had Carrie, Lily, Elijah, and Bill.
Gabby.
And Bo.
And Bo, yes, and Bo.
Okay.
Yes. So, you know, we split them up. We go and explain the first challenge for them, which is called Flip or Flop. Basically, what they had to do is they had to flip 5 cups over first for the team to score a point. We did the first 2 tribes to get 3 points would win immunity. So we go back and forth. Matt absolutely, we have to say, destroyed this challenge. Like, absolute tank, like it was like a robot, just right down the line. Destroyed. Fishu scores a point. Next round goes by. You know, we have everyone going. John goes, scores a point for Fishu. It's 2 Fishu, 0-0. And all of a sudden, you know, we have Carrie come up. She goes, Banma scores a point. You know, then we have everyone go. We get everyone back on camera. Next people go up. I believe Bill went, scores a point for Banma. Then we go. Lily scores a point for Banma. Now all of a sudden, Banma's safe. We have 3-2. So Banma's safe with 3. Fishu has 2. Shayu still has 0. So now we get into a position where Shayu's like, and first of all, we see this in Scramble Round. Absolutely, everyone's saying no one thought they were going to do this good at this challenge. So now Shayu's knowing that no one's going to be good at this challenge. And they're sitting there like, oh shit, we need to score now or we're going to be out. And then we see that, of course, it's Matt, who, again, the flip cup machine, I think he did that one in like 10 seconds. Like, it was just over. And Fishu wins immunity. So then we get Shayu. The blue tribe ended up going to tribal council. And yeah, so what were your guys' thoughts on that challenge? Obviously, it was kind of really quick for all of us. I don't think any of us thought it was just going to be like, oh, 3-2-2. Like, I thought it was going to be split across the board, and it was just a clean sweep. It was terrible.
It was a little hectic at times. Some people were having trouble.
Yeah, but like, I'm talking like in the fact that I thought it was going to be very back and forth. And we're going to get to like 9
Even
or 10
Bill
rounds.
too, I was pretty impressed with how fast Bill did his 5.
Right. He even said that, like, Bill's shaking a little bit. You see Bill be able to get through that. Bill was like shaking, but Bill is still like, you know, Bill, for someone who gets really shaky, I'm personally really impressed with Bill because I know how Bill gets in challenges, and especially gets nervous, but he was able to go fast and he got it. Like, that was impressive. Like, a lot of people really cruise through this, but there was hectic at times. But yeah, Marvin, what were your thoughts on that challenge? Because like we said, it was obviously quicker than we thought.
I mean, it went a lot faster than I expected. I expected them to struggle a lot more than they did, but let's be real, we're talking to about people that can clearly play these cup comps. So
Yeah, no, exactly. And like I said, I planned this challenge being like, oh, we'll go 9, 10 rounds, be very back and forth. No, it was the bare minimum amount of rounds it could be. It was the bare minimum. Like that was just surprising. So then we get hints that, we kind of then we get to go straight into the scramble rooms here, right? And we see everyone. We first go to visit Fishu, and these are winning tribe rooms. So it's gonna be boring. And we see them talking about Shrek movies, like rating Shrek movies. Like I'm like, of all things you guys can be talking about, like get to know each other. No, the entire time, literally, just for perspective, I cut about 45. I cut about 15, 20 minutes of the Shrek talk out. Like it was that long. Like they were arguing about the order of Shrek movies. So I'm curious what your guys' thoughts are on Shrek movies, and like, I don't know, like, what do we think about this? Like, is it proper order?
Particular order, but I found it kind of interesting that was the way they decided to start bonding as a tribe. Like,
yeah, like what?
It was different. Out of all the topics to talk about, I mean, not only Shrek movies but also Disney movies. Like it just.
Right, I think there's Harry Potter in there too. Like
it just threw me off because that's just not something that I would talk about if I'm trying to bond with someone.
Right. I have a question. We see that Matt says 2134. Alex has 2143. Matt's roommate even got involved, so 2143. Like this was a big conversation. So I'm curious. Do you guys have a rating on the Shrek movies in your personal opinion?
I think I've only seen the first two, so I'm out.
Marvin, do you have an opinion? I'm curious to hear like this is right now.
It's probably 2143.
2143. So
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you should be friends with Matt's roommate and Alex then. So at least that. So yeah, that's basically that scramble. We can throw it aside. It was just kind of boring. Then we get to the challenge, a little bit in their confessionals. Matt's talking about how he killed the challenge. He's really happy about that. Let me get John going to the challenge and be like, Matt killed that challenge. Everyone's like complaining Matt and yeah, and it's like really bad. Like, it's like, okay, yeah, Matt did good, and it's like a little slower, right? But then my favorite thing ever is this line from John saying that on 99 Character Productions, they filmed Survivor Monte Carlo, right? Which was a game that went out in November. Our apps went out in March. And we see John say that he spent 39 days recording Monte Carlo with Ian, and he feels betrayed because Ian didn't tell him. Meanwhile, our applications were not out yet. So I just thought that was so funny that John's saying this and making it great TV for us when, like, in retrospect, the apps weren't even out yet. So John's just trying to pick right away. Like, we knew John was going to be a huge character. And right away, we're seeing that. John's like, I feel betrayed by my best friend because he didn't tell me. But, like, we're not planning these seasons 4 months in advance, people. So what is your thoughts on that confessional? Have you guys seeing that?
I never even put that together because I didn't know when that was being done. So.
No, it was being filmed because production member Michael actually played second place in that season. And they started in like around my birthday in January. It's like early January. Like, so there's no way it went until like we had apps out. Because we put apps out like end of February, early March. So, like, realistically speaking, that timeline didn't line up. But I just thought that was really funny, like watching that back, because I had to put that in there just for like to get a good kick out of it. And then we kind of get into everyone else's confessionals, and everyone's like, okay, whatever, yeah, we're winning, just trying to bond with the tribe. Typical confessionals you get from first winning tribe. I haven't seen much scramble. No one really has a good gameplay because everyone's just like, I'm not going to worry about it. You're not going to be the one that, and they're in one breakout room. They can't go anywhere else. No one's going to be like, I'm going to throw out someone's name. Like, so you're kind of seeing everyone be like, I'm not sure yet. Everyone's going to be a little cagey, obviously. So now the tradition to the Fishu, we go visit the Bahama tribe, which is really interesting. We see them kind of bonding, everyone trying to talk where they're from, like, which is what you should be doing as a winning tribe, getting to know each other, not rating Shrek movies. And we see that Bo who Carrie's the only person that Carrie actually does not know on her tribe, actually grew up in the same place, and they end up figuring out they were like 2 years apart, and that I think it was Bo was born in the same place Carrie grew up or something, so they were in like the same area. And yeah, that was really interesting. We kind of see them talk about that and how they're all connected. I'm curious what your thoughts are on this scramble, because I think it's definitely the more interesting one of the two innings, at least.
Yeah. So with Carrie bringing like trying to make that connection with him, I thought it was a really smart move on her behalf because I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, she did mention in her confessional that she knew pretty much everyone on her tribe except him. So making that connection when she needed to make the connection so that she's covered on all aspects was smart on her behalf.
Right. No, exactly. That's actually what she did say. Ultimately, he's like, Bo's the only person I don't know, and I have this connection with him. She did say that in her confessional, which is really interesting that she is doing this because it's building the extra bond. And I think that's really good for Carrie. She's saying, hey, now I have something with everybody on my tribe, which is a really great thing in these minis, and it definitely gets you going a lot faster.
And I think it's a more deeper question to ask going into meeting people than how do you rate the Shrek movies? It's
right,
more of like a personal question.
Right, and they're all talking where they're from. They're getting to know each other, and the other tribes are like, "Oh, Shrek, Disney." Like it's just like ridiculous that scramble. And then we come into this one, and that's kind of why I edited this so that gets out of the way, and you kind of see this deeper connection forming, and it kind of, we see everyone kind of talking, getting to know each other, and they're getting along, and they're all like agreeing, like it seemed like they're having fun. They liked each other, right? Now then we see some of their confessionals in the beginning. Everyone's really happy. And we see Bo, and Carrie kind of talking about how we actually know each other. Like, is this great, guys? Like, it's like like a bonding thing. They're like, they're talking about how they thought it was really cool. And the funniest confessional of the episode, I say, is Bill coming into his confessional like, yeah, I know a few folks. Like, and realistically, we're like, Bill, you're the most connected person on this entire cast. Like, Bill's played DCP, so he had all those connections, right? We hear about that. And Bill knows Matt and Gabby. We hear about all this. Like, all these people are like talking about how they know each other. Like, and I'm like, Bill, you're in your confessional. No one's gonna hear this. It's just funny watching back, like knowing that Bill knew, I think, everybody besides 3 people on the cast, and was like, I don't know anybody. Like, what? I thought it was really funny. Like, good.
No, like I'm just wondering if he meant it like he doesn't know them on a personal level, or he might have seen them, but he doesn't know them.
Right. Which is, I think either way, even though he still
He
knows
knows
at least.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like really well, he at least knows Ian, who's a host of Dynamic Character Productions, Carrie, who's on production, John, who's on production, Lily, who's on production. He's had conversations with all of them. He played with both Lily and John in a season. And he's obviously on a hosting team with Gabby. He hosted Matt several times. Him and Matt are cool with each other. Like, it's like, either way, I think few folks is an understatement. He may not know them personally, but I thought it was definitely really funny to see Bill being kind of cagey in his confessionals here. What do you, Ashley, you have any thoughts on that? Do you think it's kind of funny to see Bill like,
I like that Bill knows how to hold his cards. He knows when to hold them and he knows when to fold them, and that's what you need in this game.
Right. I just thought it was a little funny, like it's the confessional. Like that's not gonna leak until after. But again, that's Bill for you, and that's just like, and how he's talking about like how he likes the challenge, and obviously how he killed it. Like he did a little bit of that. And now we get into the Shayu Tribal Council, like or Tribal Scramble, right? And this is just this is just like, a little bit of a how do I put it? Obvious boot. And I think we see it 3. Everyone's like, oh, that challenge, we're dreading it. And all of a sudden we get 3 confessionals in, and everyone's like, yeah, I think it's going to be Zach, like, or Andrew. Like, it's one of the 2. And it's like, it's not looking good for Zach right away. So what do you guys think of those first few confessionals and seeing like this is like, oh, here we go?
Yeah.
Yes.
Go ahead,
Like,
Marvin.
I think what got it to veer that way is because, as we saw, is that Zach got pretty much poof with paranoia, and that probably didn't help his situation whatsoever. And then it just made him want to scramble. And the thing is
Yeah.
that no one's saying a name to him.
Right. And they remember they and them, but they basically, when I tell you that was the first 20 seconds of that scramble I put in there, that was the first 20 seconds. It took Zach that long to be like, hey, here's the thing. I'm always first boot. Right away, it's hitting them. Oh, I could be first boot again. I lost tribal council. And that's automatically where their brain goes, I feel like.
And that was the first thing a lot of them brought up in their confessionals. Well, Zach told me that they're usually for shooting game.
Right, exactly.
Mhm.
Right, exactly. And that's the thing is like, obviously it's really this big thing.
And I think I
And it's
said
like-
it in the class assessment. That is something that hinders them when they play games. Going in with that mentality, telling people those things, it puts it in people's heads. Well, you're usually the first boot, might as well continue the tradition.
Right, exactly. And that's the thing is like, it obviously is like, you see that automatically. It's just like, everyone's like, well, I feel bad, but like, you say Victoria say like, I feel bad, but like, they're not doing anything. They're just telling us, please don't make me first boot. They're begging, they're pleading. And then we see where Andrew like basically read the assignment a little bit better and was like, oh, I see that these people are connected. Let me try to connect with them. And we see Andrew kind of scramble it more, where Zach's just like, I'm not going to throw out a name, or like Zach does throw a name, but it's someone he wants to work with, or they want to work with.
Kyle did try to help Zach a bit. It was Kyle, right? Who
Yeah, it was like,
tried to get Zach to use a shot in the dark.
Or
Their
there,
shot in the dark
yeah.
side.
Yeah. And helps me see they don't use it, but like to get back into that, like it's just like it's very like, a lot of back and forth. And
What, Marvin?
It's just that whole situation with the scramble. It's like Zach had mentioned that they wanted to work with Kyle, but then as we see throughout the episode, eventually Zach does end up saying Kyle's name, which confused me as to why they were trying to do that.
I didn't watch the exit interview yet. Did they mention why they did that?
They forgot about it.
Oh.
So like that's the thing, like you forgot about it. Like these are things when you're in this type of scenario, you can't be forgetting about shot in the dark. Like that's your last resort. Like I am screwed. Like here's the thing. I don't think Zach realizes
why they threw out Kyle's name.
They were just like
that too.
Well,
it's not clear.
From the understanding that we got from watching the episode and the exit interview that we did with Zach earlier, is that they mentioned that everybody was saying yes to Kyle's name.
Is that because Kyle was the only person not in the room?
Yeah, from the editing standpoint, that's what it kind of looked like. But
probably in a confessional at the time then.
Right.
Right, yeah.
But the thing with Zach, like not doing the shot in the dark, is like I don't think Zach noticed. They noticed like if they get it successfully, they're safe. There's no revote. So that means Kyle's on the wheel, Ian's on the wheel, Victoria's on the wheel, and Andrew's on the wheel. That can, and not to put any what's going to happen in the future, but like one of those people could end up going deep, and that could flip the entire game. That can flip the course, and that can get out
one
one of those
that
DCP
though?
connections.
1 in 6 shot. It's a 1 in 6 shot, right?
1 in 6 shot. But like you said, if they were to get it successfully, everyone else goes on that wheel.
In Survivor history, how many times has that successfully helped somebody in a game?
0 out of 5.
Well,
right, but I mean,
if
you have could have made a 6, but he didn't. They didn't.
But like that's the thing, realistically speaking, if they did that, like what would be the better perspective of it? Like, it'd be obviously kind of like seeing what would have happened and potentially seeing what could have gone farther. Like, it could have change up the game a lot, but we're seeing like this is just like really bad gameplay by Zach. I think that just Andrew kind of was familiar with DCP where Zach wasn't, and I think Andrew's able to pick up these three know each other. I gotta get in these three. Like
Another
it's
thing
me or
that
Zach. It's got to be Zach. Go ahead.
another thing that's funny to actually watch about it is knowing the what's the word I'm looking for? Knowing like the experience that the other players have playing these kind of games, and then Zach coming in trying to tell them these things, and they're here like, wait a minute, we've seen all this before. It's
Right.
just like a Goliath versus David type of situation where they're all like,
Yeah. Right. And then the kind of thing that pissed me off a little bit is like, if you're any of these people, are you sitting around and talking about in your scramble where you're from, when you're the losing tribe?
No, you shouldn't be.
And we see them doing that. Like, like I know it was probably clearly Zach's. The other four were like, but like if you're Zach, you shouldn't be doing
I mean,
this.
they were all in the same room together, so they clearly weren't going to be
Right.
talking games.
But why not go to another room and say, hey, I'll pull somebody and make it seem like someone's off a boot with it, especially with the shot on dark, not make anyone feel uncomfortable. Or it could even be, you don't know what people are thinking. These people have a history together. But let's say, hey, if someone like Kyle could have said, well, I know Ian's gonna be good at this game, or I know Victoria's gonna be good at this game. I'm gonna flip this on Victoria. If you're or vice versa, any direction. It could have been any one of them. If one of them decided, hey, I'm not gonna let them get far. I know how they play. That could be a good thing or a bad thing for somebody. And I've seen it before in games where somebody's targeted someone because they knew how good they were very early on. Like those connections mean nothing. I think that everyone should have been scrambling here instead of
well,
just
that
talking
happened
about
to
this.
Matt. He eventually ended up getting targeted because Zach decided to
Right.
tell everybody that he just won a mini.
Right, exactly. We kind of see that, like, we may see it later on. Like, is this going to affect Matt or whatever? Obviously, we don't know because we're at the current boot of Zach. But like, could that affect Matt later on? And we are eventually going to see like these things get onto things. Like, does Matt get targeted for that? Like, there's a lot of things that we see. People know each other, right? But like, it could happen in any type of mini that, like, do we see that? Do we get targeted or anything like right away? Like, we don't know what happens. Like I said, it could have been any one of them. They could have been screwed over by this, and I don't think it was necessarily good. But I think, like, realistically, we see the tribal, and I mean, how was this tribal to you guys? I think it was a little bit like everyone's like, oh yeah, we lost, trying to be like, yeah, like,
I think usually the first round or two or so in any game is kind of like a easy kind of thing because people usually know who they're going to go for right away.
right.
But then once you get into a bit more, you start forming bonds. It's a little harder to write someone's name down.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It is hard.
Like Ashley said, I think during this first tribal, it's like they all had their minds made up. They knew they were going to lose at some. They didn't know, but they lost, and I feel like in any tribe situation, if you're going to lose, I have a feeling that most people, because I know when I play it, survivor orgs or whatever, and we lose that tribal, we kind of have an idea as to who the vote is going to be. Or if it's not obvious, maybe like within the first 5-10 minutes of strategizing, it's like, oh, it's that person. Or it's going to be the first person that throws out a name that someone does not agree with. And I think that's exactly what happened with Zach. With Zach throwing out Kyle's name, that put them in a bad position as to why Ian's like, no,
Right.
that's not going to happen.
There was
Right.
like a brief instance where I thought they might go for Andrew, and then I was like, no, they're not doing it.
Yeah, no. Realistically speaking, like nothing against Zach, but like they're thinking small tribes. Obviously, they don't know what's going to come. There could be a swap rounds from now. We're only this boot, so we don't know what's going to happen yet. So they're thinking like, what happens if we lose the next challenge? We don't want to be down from 4-3. Like, and who's going to help you realistically speaking in challenges? I mean, it's not going to be Zach compared to Andrew, and those two are going to stick together. So we get through that. We're seeing Andrew saying like, "This is you played these games, your emotions. This wouldn't be the name." we don't see who he votes for, obviously, so we're trying to keep it a little secret that Zach's unanimous at the end. Then you see Kyle and Zach write each other's names down. Kyle even says it, you wanted to work with me, but I heard my name out there one too many times. And, the votes come out there. First vote is for Zach. Next vote is for Kyle. Next vote, Zach. First person voted out of Survivor Yagong Island is Zach. Everyone else ended up voting for Zach. Zach ended up voting for Kyle. And we see Zach saying, like, it's typical. It always happens to them. And generally, I feel really bad, but, like, I think this is kind of a mixture of really bad gameplay from Zach and Kyle, and just really good gameplay from Andrew. Like, I think Andrew, like I said, turned into the assignment where Zach just decided not to do it. I think Zach stood a chance if he was able to, if they were able to read that.
To me too, the fact that there was like no shock at all for Zach getting voted out. If he was just like, yeah, this always happens, whatever, it shows me that they did not try hard enough during that scramble round.
Right. And I think we ultimately see that.
That's the way I see it. It's just that Andrew put in the work. He was able to read the room. As towards Zach, they weren't able to read the room, and they let the paranoia just get to them.
Right, and it's like not even a secret these three know each other. Like, we literally put in our application, this is the org we're modeling after. Get history about us. Like, we didn't know at the time who we were casting, obviously, but like, hey, get familiar with it. And if you went and got familiar with it to get a feel of how our game works, you would have been like, Ian's hosted all these people. I need to get in with Ian. Like, I think that Zach, even admitted in the exit meeting today, they didn't watch any dynamic character productions before this. And it's really what kind of got them. I think Andrew was familiar beforehand, actually went back and watched some seasons. I've talked to him since. He said he's went back and watched. So I think Andrew was able to pick on that. Or I think where Zach probably, like I said, we weren't planning to have as much feel from the game as possible, like with this, but it happened. And I think the thing is, like, Andrew was able to figure it out and watch where Zach, I think that's where Zach really went wrong, is not realizing how connected all these three were, and it bit them. Like, where I think Andrew read it and was like, okay, I'm going to watch, I'm familiar, and was able to realize, I shouldn't do this. Like, I think it's really hard for Zach, and I'm really sad to see him go obviously early, but like, at the end of the day, I think this is really just, I think they could have got out of this. I
think if they just learned to go into games and not mention previous games in their placements,
right,
and actually like ask people questions about themselves, they might do a little better.
Right, and I agree. It's valid. That's the perspective, right?
Yeah.
Zach is just, everyone was just kind of like, well, all Zach is telling us is that they're always first boot. And you see that everyone's like, I feel terrible, but like, come on. Everyone else is scrambling. Everyone's getting no show, and Zach's just like, don't make me first boot. Like, it's an instance where they did it to themselves, as sad as it is. And I think it's just like, they just got outplayed here. But I think if they were able to out-strategize Andrew, they had a fighting chance. But they just got in their head. They didn't, figure out the room fast enough. And once the ball got rolling, it was just gone. And they couldn't catch it.
They also had it too where Andrew didn't do too bad in that challenge.
Where I think Andrew had the most cups over for their tribe. Like, if I'm being honest, I think Andrew did the best for it. And like you're looking, I think we all agree Andrew's probably the most jacked person on this cast.
And I know they all said they weren't basing it off of the challenge, but in the back of your mind, you're somewhat basing it off the challenge.
Right, because no one wants to go back to tribal again and again and again. So you need people that are going to be able to help you win challenges. Yeah. And realistically speaking, if you're those three, you're going to pick Andrew 9 times out of 10. Unless you're trying to get rid of a big threat. But even then,
during the pre-merge portion of the game, it's vital to have someone that is good in comps.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. And especially
that keeps you from going to tribal.
Right. Especially because, and this is not really much of a spoiler, but all of our challenges are not text-based. They're physical, they're on-camera challenges, right? So you want those people to be there. It's just like, you don't want to have someone who's, is like Zach, like nothing against Zach, but like they know they're not really good at challenges. And I've seen it over and over again. So, I mean, it was kind of based off a challenge Florence, but at the same time, it wasn't based off of that specific challenge, but it was based off future challenges, I think, at the end of the day. And, any of the, even they say that tribal, like, we don't want to be here again. So that's what we're basing our vote on. I mean, ultimately, it's sad to see Zach go. But overall, how do you guys think this episode was as a whole? I don't think it was bad for a premiere necessarily. I just think it was a little obvious, which is some boots are going to be obvious. There might be more obvious boots across the way.
I think the episode wasn't bad, like you said. It's just really obvious, and there wasn't as much strategizing as I would have expected.
Right, exactly. And
I think it's because the tribe was so small.
Well, it's just not only that, but I feel like what took away from the strategizing is that people within that tribe already had those connections, those
Right.
pre-existing.
Yeah.
right. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna do, overall it was not bad. Kind of pretty more predictable boot, but may line up for future, right? I'm curious. What do you?
Get off with what everyone's favorite part of the episode was?
Yeah, I think my favorite part. Honestly, my favorite part was just kind of seeing. I think it was a super cool story with Bo and Carrie knowing like growing up in the same place. I thought it was kind of a cool like moment. It's like wow, like that's kind of a big thing. Like like that's kind of cool. Like you never know who you're gonna meet in these games, and like shows you how small the world really is. And you see Bo say that.
My favorite part of the episode, I think it's this because I kind of am, the same way, is that when Ian found out that Zach was saying Kyle's name and Ian was like, no, and then started pushing for Zach, because I have done the exact same thing from experience with Zach specifically throwing my name out.
Oh.
So I'm like, I know where this whole situation was coming from. Like, I personally like that part of the episode.
Right. And we even see Ian say it, like, if no one's going to throw out a name, I'm going to throw it out. Like, that's a big part of Ian's confessional. Like, that. Yeah. So, like, Ian really defending his friend there is, I think, yeah.
And the funny part about that is my favorite part is also Ian, but it's how, like, the embroidery thing behind his head on the wall makes it look like he has a halo.
Yeah, so what we're gonna kind of do here is we're each gonna nominate, I think we're each gonna nominate a person for a fan favorite of the episode. And
we're nominating fan favorites.
Yeah, like you pick your favorite of the episode. And then the fans are gonna vote for it. Yeah, a fan favorite. Okay. So like we're each gonna nominate who we think our favorite was, like best on gameplay, whatever we want to do it on. And then then the fans are gonna vote and they're gonna get points for that, like at the end of the day. Like the ultimate fan favorite.
Out of our three?
Yeah, they're gonna vote out of our three, and then we're gonna do one honorable mention every single episode. So like one person that maybe we felt like we can all agree on that like did really well, but like maybe wasn't our favorite, and then they'll vote across those four, and they'll each get points, and the highest point getter will get something at the end. So he's like the ultimate fan favorite, the fan favorite of the season.
Okay.
So I'll go ahead and start off. I'm gonna not just because he's obviously a winner pick. But I'm gonna go ahead and pick Andrew because I just think the way Andrew read the room, he's able to strategize and everything. I just think Andrew played this really, really well for someone that was clearly on the outs. And Andrew was able to be like maneuver that. I think Andrew played this round great. And I think he played really great for like a first round. I think it's like above standard, like a standard for somebody. He was able to read the room. He made sure that he's like, this is either me or Zach. And he made sure it was Zach, the other person, his name. And we ultimately see his name didn't come up on parchment. Like it could have been him and Zach getting votes. He didn't get a single vote. It was Kyle. Like I think that was great gameplay by Andrew by far. Whichever we want to go next. What?
I mean, I feel like mine. It's Ian again. Like from what I just mentioned, is that what he did in the episode? Him just going with it, saying the name because no one else is going to. So
right, man as well. Yeah. And Ashley, you want to go ahead?
I'm going to pick Bill because he slayed it with the cups. And I'm not sure if it made it into the episodes, but I was in a breakout room with him, and he was doing some pretty cool story times that I enjoyed. So,
And I think just a fun fan favorite or honorable mention we could do is I think we can do Carrie.
Yeah.
We see Carrie knows every single person about her tribe besides Bo, but Carrie makes that connection with Bo, and that's how Carrie is as a person. She's just social. She loves to talk. I've seen her in games. That's how she plays every game. She might play this game like that. We don't know obviously yet, but that's just how Carrie is. I think that's great that she has a connection with every single person on tribe now. So Bonma was to go tribal. Carrie is automatically now the least likely person to go home. So I think she positioned herself really, really well going forward. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah.
I'm fine with it. Yeah.
Yeah. I think honestly, right now, Bonma, Carrie's the only person that absolutely has no chance of going home. Nobody's going to vote for Carrie unless something freaky happens. Carrie is like the least likely. Yeah, like, I mean, like someone plays a shot in the dark and real, like I said, that can happen. But and Carrie is not going anywhere, obviously, as long as she's on this tribe. So I think we're going to do that. We all good with that?
Sounds good to me.
Yep. And basically, you guys will be voting. I'll put a poll up shortly, and you're going to do your fan favorite of episode out of our 4. And that first place will get 4, second will get 3, third will get 2, and fourth will get 1. And at the end, we'll have our ultimate fan favorite. And maybe they'll get a little bit something for being a fan favorite. We'll see. But anyway, that has been the recap with us today. We hope you guys enjoy it. Episode 2 is coming out Friday. We will have the X interview with our second boot. Julia Rowe will hopefully be joining us for that this next weekend. And that'll be up. And then we'll be back for a recap Friday night of episode 2. Now that I know how to do this. Sorry for the inconvenience. We did have some, I know this is supposed to be up on Friday. Things happen. There was a mistake in the recording, so I ultimately couldn't put it up. But other than that, you guys have anything else, or do I have to close this out?
No.
All right. So
Yep.
I'm your host. We got our production here, and we are excited to tune in with you guys all season long. Thank you guys